Today on Podcast Them Down, we're talking about the Dead Men of Dunharrow.
Cast them down!
Welcome to Podcast Them Down. I'm Tim Regan from US power metal band Burning Shadows, Fade to Black Metallica tribute, Dual-Violin folk metal band ISENMOR, and recently vacated Graves true zombie metal. Be sure to subscribe, like, or follow. And now, on with the show. All right, I am here with Dave, the Spence Hammer from Burning Shadows and ISENMOR. And I figured today we could talk about the Dead Men of Dunharrow, which is the inspiration behind two different Burning Shadows songs. And it is not the most content we've gotten from the smallest amount of inspiration, but it's up there. So the smallest nugget of inspiration that created the most music inspiration for Burning Shadows is a different episode. So this is the second smallest, in my opinion. So, Dave, I'm going to defer to you. You're the expert on Lord of the Rings, at least relative to me. So, who are the Dead Men of Dunharrow?
So, the Dead Men of Dunharrow are the cursed spirits of a group of the lesser line of men. So, like, if we're thinking about the second age of the world, there's the Numenorians, and then there's the men that stayed in Middle-earth after the first age. And that lesser line lived in, assorted regions. And in the White Mountains, in the south of Middle-earth, there was this tribe that had gone wild and was tempted into the worship of Sauron in the late Second Age, as the last alliance of elves and men was like coming into, coalescing into a thing. And at the time of the end of that first War of the Ring, Isildur goes to this tribe of basically wild mountain men in the White Mountains and asks, when the time comes, will you fight with us against Sauron? And they're like, sure, yeah, we will. Well, that day comes, those guys refuse to leave the mountains, so Isildur curses them and he says, may you stay here forever until your oath is fulfilled. And so they do, damned to endure in the White Mountains that become this haunted zone that Aragorn and the Grey Company then must take during the War of the Ring in the Third Age. Aragorn, of course, being Isildur's heir. So that kind of ties itself back into its origin. Isildur's heir being the only one who can, allow them to redeem the curse by fulfilling their oath. So Aragorn calls upon them to, escort him and the Grey Company of the Dunedain, along with Gimli the dwarf and Legolas the elf, through the White Mountains, around up the coast, and towards, oh hell, and I'm forgetting the name of the city now.
Well, I think all the names you've dropped, people will forgive you.
No, they won't. Not the Lord of the Rings crowd. So let me check. At any rate, forget the name of the city notwithstanding, the Dead Men agree to fight against the hosts of the Men of the East, the Harad, and in so doing, fulfill their oath to Isildur's line and redeem the curse, and are able to pass out of the world. So, two things I want to say right off the bat about this whole story. One, I think it's interesting that Burning Shadows has written two songs about what are essentially zombie warriors, adjacent to recently vacated graves, one might say.
Oh, way to tie it in. Nice.
And the second is the connection that Tolkien has on such a fundamental level to the Northern myth, in that death in battle is glorious and provides release and paradise, and that cowardice and the refusal to take up arms in these kinds of struggles damns you to a sort of perpetual hell of, if not torment, then, disrepute, no glory attached to your name and kind of stain on that legacy, enduring as specters until they take up that valorous quest, as it were. So I think it's interesting to consider it in that context as well. Musically speaking, I think that the two songs couldn't be more different. So Oathbreaker, the one that was written by, that was you and Greg, right?
That was all me.
Oh, that was all Tim. Well, then maybe you're best equipped to talk about it.
Let me put it this way. I have the sole credits on it. Greg wrote the solo. So,
did you do all the lyrics?
Yes, I did the lyrics as well.
Oh, right on. I don't read the liner notes to our albums, so I have no idea who's written what.
I make the liner notes for our albums, so so I have a good reference. I write the history.
That's right. I just have to go off of feel. It's like, this one feels like a Tim song. But I felt like Greg wrote the lyrics, but no.
Greg,
I think
at that time, Greg was writing the lion's share of the lyrics. And I don't know. It's obvious to me, if you looked at a song, it's obvious to me which ones I wrote and which ones Greg wrote, because Greg has a better way with words from time to time. But I'm pretty proud of the way Oathbreaker came out, worked out.
Oh yes. But it's, for anyone who's unfamiliar with the tune, it is a thrashy, aggressive mosher of a tune, and Paths of the Dead is kind of a galloping, more triumphant sounding kind of journey song, and even though the subject matter is essentially identical.
Yeah, that works out because more stuff happens in Paths of the Dead lyrically. There's more of a journey. So
what was so I wrote the lyrics for Paths of the Dead, and I did so kind of on a deadline, like I'm not used to working for Burning Shadows, or really any of my hobbies, unless it's about to go bad. I feel like most of my hobby deadlines are pretty fluid, but we had to get this ready so that we could record it to release it when we went to Europe in 2019 in December. And what was the impetus for doing the Lord of the Rings song? You had the chorus written down already, right?
Yeah, so that's interesting. So Christopher, the other guitarist, I believe he wrote the whole thing. I'll have to check my liner notes.
It seems like it came fully formed.
Yeah, I think he wrote the vast majority, if not all, of the music in that. And yeah, like you said, we were in a time crunch because we had to get stuff recorded. And I think we had to track vocals in like a week or two, and like no songs were written.
In a week or two, of course, you mean like it was within 1 or 2 weeks that the vocals would be recorded over the course of a single, was it a day or a weekend?
It was one day. We did all the vocals for that album. Yeah. So for Paths of the Dead, available on Beneath the Ruins, available from Wrathchild Records, the chorus, just came to me because it follows the guitar line, and it sounded to me, the cadence of Far Beneath the World was perfect, popped into my head, and that reminded me of when they were going through the Paths of the Dead. So I was able to flesh out a chorus, and then I was like, okay, now I'm stuck. And so I went to you and I said, Dave, I have a chorus. Can you write the rest of the song? And by this point, I believe everything had been totally recorded. So we had the structure, right?
I listened to that song so many times trying to come up with a vocal melody because that wasn't immediately evident. The riffs are like, it gives a really, really good framework for a melody, but no melody was there.
Yeah.
So I spent part of the time trying to find a melody and then attach words in cadence to that about what happens building up to them going in.
Yes. So if the vocals seem dense, it's because they were written after the song structure was finalized. And again, not the perfect way to write a song, but I think it came out great. It's like it gets right to the point. Here we go, and
Yeah,
so
it is straight to the point indeed.
So I believe that was the only song ever that has had a vocal demo. Like that we had to tell Tom, here's how to sing it. Because usually there's a lot more time or it's more evident and we can just sit down with the lyrics and just kind of hash it out. But that time, for that song and only that song, we had to, you came over and demoed the vocals so Tom would have a point of reference, because the vocals, like a lot of the times, Shadow from the Steeple is a good example. Like the vocals just kind of follow the guitar riffs, but
Yes.
so a lot of the times they're self-evident, not always, but in this case, we had to get it all down because you couldn't be present at the recording with Tom. So we just, like, Tom would listen to the demo a couple times and then record the line, and it came out great.
And Tom did a really fantastic job of kind of interpreting what I cannot do as a singer into something that sounds good. That's, in his range and style that I just, because I would try to do an ornamentation or something, and he just improved upon it vastly for the final product.
This is also there's a handful of songs that your backup vocals are on the recording. So
I am proud. Yeah, this is one of my favorite vocal credits because I did the harsh vocals for it, which I really enjoyed.
That's my job, but you did a better job. So like, keeping these.
I like doing it. I can't do it while I play, so it's only going to be for like. I mean, I guess I don't know. I've always kind of been in awe of drummers who can sing and play at the same time. I don't know. And honestly, I can't believe instrumentalists who play and sing at the same time. Having grown up playing the piano and also learning the guitar from a young age, like, I've never sung and played at the same time, and it's just such different sections of my brain that I can't imagine doing it well.
So I have a feeling we're going to come back to this song a little bit, but I think what really sparked the Far Beneath the World idea and the whole Paths of the Dead concept for that song was we were getting ready. We were kind of like preparing for the European tour, and I wanted to resurrect the intro track. So so bands like to come out to an intro thing, and I had a long time ago I grabbed the snippet of Return of the King, the Peter Jackson movie, where Legolas is explaining, it's like, from the north shall he come, need shall drive him, this and that. He's like reciting the prophecy, right? And it ends with him saying the Paths of the Dead. So I had found that, and I was like, there's the subject. That fits the chorus. But the reason we had that intro was when Oathbreaker came out. That's how I wanted to start sets. So it's this minute-long thing. It's Legolas talking, and then we play Oathbreaker, which is the song about the dead men of Dunharrow. It's about the fact that they broke the oath and they're cursed. Like, nothing happens in the song. They don't break the curse. But
this is true. It's not a story song. It is a depiction. Right. It's right out there. They're the Oathbreakers. Like, that's what they did and who they are.
Yeah, maybe I sound like I'm underselling it, but yeah.
No, I mean it's a hard thrash banger. Like we don't play Burning Shadows tends to go overly ambitious, right? And I don't know, with Oathbreaker, it's like it is what you get is what it says it is, you know? Oathbreaker. There they were, they broke their oath, they swore and broken treachery. I don't remember the lyrics, but
Right. Yeah.
you know,
You got all the words.
there's all the words there, and but it is a fan favorite. And like when I think Oathbreaker, what I think of is playing on stage at Julito's Discotheque in Hyattsville, Maryland, and just like the purple and orange gel lights and the fucking pit going, and people singing the lyrics that we have not personally met, which never ceases to astonish me as a more or less amateur musician. Is like, I don't know you, but you know my music.
Yeah. So,
and yeah,
yes, that intro I've had ready for 15 years now, almost. Not quite, but we only did it a handful of times live, and I remember distinctly one of those times we were all on stage because it was one of those things where like you set up because you have like 7.5 minutes to set up. So you set up, you're ready to go, and they're like, "Okay, go," and I'm like,
"Start playing."
I guess hit the intro. And so it goes, we're kind of standing there for a minute while the thing's going on. I'm like, it doesn't build the tension if we're just standing on stage waiting for the intro to finish.
Like even at Jack's, because of course this makes me think of, War of Wrath directly into the Storm. And even at Jack's, they had the presence of mind to stand off stage. And, as the local opener, you don't always have that luxury.
Right. So hopefully, in the future, we'll have a backstage. We'll be able to walk off and start the intro and come out and do Oathbreaker or Paths of the Dead. I think they'd both work. I'm calling
it right now, Tim. And I'm going to spoil it for everybody in the next, what year is it? 2021? In the next 4 years. You'll forget I said this. We should do when we do our 25th anniversary show, because 20th anniversary shot. Like, we could do Burning Shadows turns 21, I guess.
Hey, there you go.
We still have a little bit of time for that, but we should do 2 sets, and we should kick both of them off with Legolas explaining it, but play Oathbreaker for the first set and Paths of the Dead for the second.
Love it. That's brilliant. I will forget.
And it's, I'm not gonna.
They're like, they already did this. They already.
At set break, we should play an assortment of like just the choicest old clips from like WMUC and like the. I'm full of. That's going to be another podcast episode.
But planning the
planning the 25th anniversary show, yeah. But if I can, Annie McBeal it. Back to the matter at hand. Annie
McBeal.
Annie McBeal. Who was single female? No, it was single female lawyer.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're doing a more timely Futurama reference.
Yeah, I guess. It's just like when poor Leela runs out of script.
Why doesn't Ross, the largest friend, simply consume the other friends?
Perhaps they're saving it for sweeps.
So, wait, did you have another point?
No. I was going to try to bring things back on track towards something Paths of the Dead adjacent, like cul-de-sacs of the moribund or whatever.
That's the lounge version of the song. Okay, I did mention that Paths of the Dead is available on the whatever album that is.
Beneath the Ruins
Beneath
EP.
The Ruins.
The exclusive EP.
Yeah.
Very limited quantities worldwide.
On Child Records. The
RAF, like the Royal Air Force, like Aces High. That's our boy Raf.
That's right. And the Oathbreaker itself, there's a live version on there.
That's right.
We give you value even when it's an EP. You know, there's still 7 tracks and it's longer than a Slayer album. So
that's right. That's what I meant by we tend to be overly ambitious.
But Oathbreaker, the song, that came out on the Oathbreaker EP. So the Oathbreaker EP was the first one Tom was on because Greg surrendered the lead vocal duties to Tom. And the idea was that we'd re-record some old songs. So we redid Second Son, Supernatural Warfare, Whisper Suffering, and then a CD bonus track was Honor of the Dark, one of the many times we re-recorded it. And so those are all the Into the Primordial versions with Tom singing. But I was like, we need to add a new song. And I believe at the time that was the newest song that was the most ready. Here we go. So we did that song. And
Who did the drums for that? Was that our former?
You set it up perfectly.
Yeah,
So,
that's right. Because it wasn't me.
the guy who played drums on that. So I think we had a drummer ad out because you were out of the state. So this was 2010, I think, when we recorded it. It came out in September 2010. So
Then this
we
was
probably
yeah.
recorded
I
it
was
in 2010.
I was on the road at that point.
Yeah, being a vagabond,
Vagabond Carney, sir.
a rover, wanderer, nomad, carney, call me. Which so
I like it. Yeah, yeah.
So a guy I believe someone answered our ad and he says, I'm not from the area, but I do studio recording. So if you have anything you want me to do, I'll record it. And, it was like some reasonable price. So the guy who answered the ad was Peter Hunt from Australia. And he was in Dragon Force when they were still Dragon Heart. So he was the original drummer for Dragon Force. And I guess he lived in the UK at the time and then
Deep lore.
yeah, so I was like, sure. Like I there's an angle to promote. And so what he did, keep in mind this was a long time ago. Like this is so much easier to do now than it was.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was impressed that you had an Australian, didn't know who it was. Pete Hunt did not mean anything to me name-wise, but the fact that Burning Shadows was collaborating with Australia at that time in life was shocking to me. And also, I have to mention that this does also give us a degree of separation away from Balsagoth. Because through the Dragon Force drummer bit, Dave McIntosh, who succeeded Pete Hunt in Dragon Force, unless there's somebody that I'm skipping, was also the drummer for Balsagoth, right?
Nice.
On certain
I don't know.
albums.
I'll take your word for it. I mean, I could
I
look
think
it up,
so.
but
God, that band.
it's
so much,
easier to
so
not
much
look
sound.
So what he did was he sent an 8-track recording, like
you put into your car. Yeah.
not one of those, but he sent 3 takes of the song and mailed it on a burned CD from Australia. So I had forgotten about it by the time it got there because we're like, we had it recorded. And the song's easy to do because it's like one tempo, So,
right.
So he sent it and I chopped up the takes into something I liked. There was one thing I changed where I forgot if he played snares on downbeats, but I wanted them on upbeats or something like that. So there's one drum riff in there that I actually slid over a half a beat, and it worked.
Well done, sir.
Yeah, so listen for the edit.
Hey, if you have a reliable input, you can do whatever you want with that music.
That's right. So yeah, he did great. I just took the best parts of what I liked and kind of glued it together.
Yeah.
And so then, probably in around 2019, something along those lines, we got a message from someone who goes, "Hey, do you know how to contact Pete Hunt?" And I was like, why? So
is this about money?
This guy got a Dragonheart demo or EP, and he was getting it autographed by everyone who was in the band at the time. And he got everyone, including ZP30, the singer, the former singer of Dragon Force.
Polish dude, right?
He was South African, and he's living in the UK, I believe.
Then I'm totally wrong.
So, well, I could be wrong too, but he's like, the one I'm missing is Pete Hunt. So I was like, I'm not sure if he wants me just giving out his email address. And by the way, I haven't talked to him in 10 years since he delivered Oathbreaker. And I'm like, yeah. So,
he probably remembers doing it.
Yeah, maybe. But, so after I suggested some other ways to find him, I was like, fine, here's the email I contacted a decade ago. Good luck. And it was still active. The guy sent the CD to Australia, got it autographed, and he sent it back. So apparently he's still proud of it to the point where he will autograph stuff.
Hell yeah. I mean, I would autograph anything sent to me in the mail. And I think now is a good opportunity to apologize to the fine people who ordered the Burning Shadows CDs that took probably at this point nigh on years to arrive after being signed. But we all lived through a pandemic, and also the traffic around here is really bad. And we will, buy you 5 beers when you come see us at a show.
Yes. 5. Wait.
To split between all of you, not 5 beers each.
This is a visual thing. 5. There we go.
Oh man, you need more guitar necks, Tim, on your guitars.
I do. You're right. You know what? If I had some super glue, I bet I could make this happen. So another thing about Oathbreaker that hopefully has been lost to time is the original cover for the EP has has one of the Oathbreakers, and so it was supposed to be inspired by the story, but I didn't like how it turned out. So the guy who did that artwork is the same guy, the original Oathbreaker EP artwork is the same guy who did Into the Primordial, Amongst the Dying Waves, and The Darkest Winter. So so it was going to be the 4th one he did. We actually did get them pressed, but when it came out, it's just like it wasn't sitting right.
I remember it was like that orangey greenish like haze.
That's the one.
I think I may still have one of those somewhere at my parents' house, believe it or not.
And then the second, find it and then burn it.
Can't do it. I've got a very complete collection of Burning Shadows crap.
Yeah. So if you look inside, there's like he when we repressed it with the new cover, which I'll come back to, the new cover, the inside was all the original stuff. So there's it was just the cover that didn't sit well, but there's like a sphere looking thing that's supposed to be the stone in the shadow of which they swore the oath.
Indeed, the Stone of Eric, which does not get featured in Peter Jackson's visual representation of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So this was something, and I'm going to hop back to Paths of the Dead for a moment, that I really wanted to touch on, because what they show you in Peter Jackson's trilogy is not really hewing to the text, shall we say. And I think this is because Peter Jackson is on record, and I'm not going to cite my sources at all, as saying that he hated the Dead Men of Dunharrow because it was an unbelievable literary device. It was kind of a Deus Ex Machina. It's like, here it is, the forces of men and the remaining elves of Middle Earth and the ring bearer and the what's left of the Fellowship, all arrayed against the might of Barad-dûr. And you're going to throw in fucking zombie ghosts to like clear the path. I get it. I get it. I get it.
That's valid, I suppose.
But so he put it in there because and the website, this amused me because of the wording, because it's not like strictly proper English, but when you read it in proper English, it's very funny. They were worried about pissing off large fans of the series. Like, I understand that they mean that they were, concerned about aggravating super fans, like big Tolkien fans. But it's in the actual like article that I was reading, it was like he decided to make this change in order to avoid angering large Lord of the Rings fans. Just like imagining these just like lumbering nerds approaching the set. Put the dead men in.
Bring us KFC.
But it was outside. So he portrays it as happening like this battle in a dungeon in a mountain. But really, the paths of the dead are like a crack between the White Mountains that lead out into this haunted vale upon which sits a stone on a pedestal where that oath was sworn. And that's where Aragorn unfurls the banner and says, "Here I am, the heir of Isildur. Here's the sword that was broken. Redeem your oath and get your rest. Come fight." Which is way fucking cooler than what happens in the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, so just to recap, Oathbreaker, based on the movie, Paths of the Dead, based on the book.
Okay. I like both songs equally, though.
Yes, but when I wrote Oathbreaker, I was inspired by the movie, and when you wrote Paths of the Dead, you stayed closer to the book.
This is true. I mean, Michelle... Okay, so my wife Michelle and I have attempted to watch The Lord of the Rings, and I want to preface this by saying... Let me really backtrack and preface by saying that we are both enormous Lord of the Rings fans. The whole reason we ever went out on a first date is because she was taking a graduate level course in Lord of the Rings, like Tolkien and context literature. And I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds my speed. And so we've both seen the entire trilogy numerous times independently, but we've never once managed to get through even a single of the films by ourselves together. Like, since we've been together or married.
Why?
We've tried.
Do you have to keep pausing it to complain?
Oh, no. Yeah. Did you know?
Yes, I did a thesis on it.
Right. And we've never, like, we tried during pandemics, during blizzards, we've tried to watch the movies and it has never once happened. So I was like, faced with this deadline, I knew I couldn't sit down with her and be like, hey, we need to watch Return of the King tonight, because it was not going to happen. So I went to the text, because it's easy for me to sit there and read what is essentially 3 pages of written words. You know, there is so little written about this moment that is iconic. Like, to illustrate this a little bit, I've gotten the bug for like collecting printed art, and there was a release today that was done through a gallery that they specialize in like pop art. So, artist interpretations of various movies and like things like this. And this was a Lord of the Rings collection, and it showed a variety of Lord of the Rings characters in various scenes. So like Legolas on a horse with a bow, and Gandalf and Shadowfax standing in the woods, and Frodo at Mount Doom. And the one of Aragorn that they chose was him charging through with the dead men in their like green phantasmic forms. And it's so not strange necessarily, but kind of, astonishing to me that such a small amount of text became such a great cultural thing that everyone seems to recognize. And that is, kind of like iconic of who some of these characters are now in the popular vision.
Yeah, it clearly resonated with me. So,
yeah, I mean, it's an indelible mark that's made when one watches the films. It's the first time that there's kind of like objectively obvious supernatural magic stuff happening. Like, there's a little bit with Gandalf and the Balrog, and obviously there's the more mundane magic of the ring itself and of Ents and etc. But like, man, the dead men, and like prior to Barad-dûr collapsing, it's the first moment that you see in the films that is really just like, boom, magic shit.
Yep.
Man, the internet's going to correct me so hard if people watch and listen.
Actually. Well, okay, so if you want to hear these songs, I've already referenced many times. They are on the Oathbreaker EP and the Beneath the Ruins EP, and those are both available on Bandcamp and Spotify and all those. Just search Burning Shadows. I'm sure we'll put links in the descriptions to the Bandcamp one, and I'll probably begrudgingly put a Spotify link in there. So
Spotify is great. You can also check out Spence Hammer's selections, my classic curated choices of metal songs that mean a lot to me.
Stay safe on your travels through the past of the dead. Good night. Thanks for listening to Podcast Them Down. You can find Burning Shadows, ISENMOR, and recently vacated graves on Bandcamp, as well as Facebook, along with Fade to Black Metallica Tribute and Podcast Them Down itself. Until next time, keep it metal.